Hello gamers and future friends. This next game is one I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did. My love for this game is up there with the greats like Hollow Knight and Ori. This bird's eye view Metroidvania is one for the ages, with its vast amount of content in a more limited world, with its rewarding exploration, solid gameplay, and ability to constantly impress the player with something new around every turn. It is by far going to be viewed as a classic by the public in the future. The game today is Minishoot Adventures. First off, I recently had a family trip. We went up to see the eclipse on April 8th and was like, alright, I'll buy Minishoot, I'll play it on the trip, and when I get back I'll review it with just the trailer, as it's probably just a fun short little indie game. I could not have been more wrong. My eyes were fucking glued to that Steam Deck for the 3 2-hour flights, for the 9-hour car ride. Holy shit, this game turned into an addiction for me. When I first heard about Minishoot, I don't know why I remember it this way, but I kept hearing everyone say it was a roguelite. It's not a roguelite, in case anyone has heard that too. It's actually much more similar to a Metroidvania, only instead of the camera angle from the side, it's a bird's eye view.
Could you come up here, please? What was your name?
Hollow Knight.
Katie, what was that thing you were playing today, the big thing?
A Metroidvania.
Okay, this is a bass guitar, and it's the exact same thing, but instead of playing like this, you tip it on the side, cello, you've got a bass. Try it on.
The world is filled with bosses, both main and mini bosses, various enemy types, different regions, objectives, puzzles, races, NPC robots, lore, even though the world itself is arguably smaller than one would expect with this much content. You start out as this little spaceship set off to defeat 4 main bosses. Okay, really 3 for those about to rush to the comments and be like, you didn't even fucking play it, or else you would know that the 4th boss, go fuck yourself. But you set off to defeat 4 bosses, not including the final boss or the final boss, or the multiple various mini bosses in each region. This game would constantly give so much more than expected every time I logged on. Combat-wise, you are given a gun and need to destroy other ships by dodging their randomly fired bullets, swerving to avoid a fucking parade of bullet towards you. I think most people have played, or at the very least seen, games with this form of combat. I think Asteroids was a great example, although that was a bit more back in the day. It's hard to express satisfactory with games, but I will say the movement of my ship, the gameplay was very satisfying. And not to mention, in my 10 hours of gameplay, I never encountered even the smallest of stutters. Smooth gameplay from start to finish. The extras for this game and the optional content is a rewarding exploration, races, and finding NPCs that sort of help you along your journey. No matter where I went, I never once felt my time was wasted. There was a heart container, an energy container, a relic, a map fragment, an NPC, or even if I had already been to a location and there wasn't a reward waiting for me at the end, the reward was simply to fly around and shoot enemies. There are a total of 8 races between you and these little blue fly looking things. This is a good time to talk about character progression. After defeating an enemy, you are given these options to level up: bullet speed, regular speed, movement speed, attack power, etc. So in the beginning, I always value killing enemies quicker, so I decided to level up my ammunition. That's when I came across my first race and kept losing and felt bummed that I would have to level up my character multiple times to win the race. But the developer, who is awesome by the way, let you swap in and out of all previous levels to whichever stat wished. So this allowed me to increase weapon power to take down bosses, or switch over to movement speed to win races without ever feeling the need to grind out levels. It was just perfect. Last, I'd like to talk about the NPCs. There were roughly 8, give or take, all there to help you in different ways. One opens up shop, one shows collectible locations on the map, one provides lore from the ancient times, and one increases your bullet capacity, to name a few. So I've talked this game up a lot, so now I'd like to not talk about the negatives. No way am I saying these were done bad. Just how I hope they're improved for a possible sequel. There are only 2 things in my opinion that separates this game from Hollow Knight, and those are land diversity and suggested lore. So by land diversity, what I mean by this is in Hollow Knight you have Green Pass, the Crystal location, Royal Waterways, Deep Nest, City of Tears, and they all look and feel completely different. You get the impression the world is much more vast and you are just a small part of it. In Minishoot, each area felt the same. There's the village, the forest, the beach, the desert, and the ship dump yard. Though these were different regions, they all had the same material and color, just felt like an empty desert. The enemies had enough variety which helped a lot, but I think a bit more can be provided to allow the player to feel like they are just one small pawn in a massive world. Moving region to region, I never felt like I was moving region to region. It felt like one large similar one rather than 4 different. My second suggestion was suggested lore. What I mean by this is, in Hollow Knight, you constantly see things that leaves you questioning all of the questions. Where, why, how, what, when did all this take place? A few things in Minishoot that did this were the giant turtle, the ship wasteland, and the alive tree. Where did this turtle come from? Why are the trees alive? Why were all the ships destroyed in a land where civilization has been wiped out and ships are all that remain? And the more you add, the further invested one becomes in the world. If these 2 things are expanded on in a possible sequel, then I can see this series becoming a cult classic. And then maybe Soul Game Studios can also have their moment in the sun and take 30 fucking years to release the most anticipated sequel of all fucking time. Sorry, sometimes when I think about Silksong, I get heated. This review is getting a little long, but honestly, go play this game. You do not want to miss the opportunity that you were there for the early days, the primetime era during the state of another cult classic. Go buy Minishoot Adventures and enjoy this masterpiece. It's just incredible. And that does it here, gamers and future friends. I hope you all have a wonderful day.